Hello, and welcome back to Temple. Today we are going to be continuing our incredible journey on the Texas Eagle from San Antonio to Dallas. If you missed part 1 or want a refresher on the first half of our adventure, click the link in the top right or in the description below to see part 1 where we rode from San Antonio to Temple. Temple is the second out of 3 smoke stops on our route today, and as such we have a few minutes here to check out the station. Temple is located at the intersection between the Union Pacific and BNSF railways, bringing in rail fans from across the state to see the action. As a result, the Temple Railroad and Heritage Museum is located here. The Railway Museum holds multiple historic coaches and locomotives, including this old BNSF EMD GP9U locomotive number 1680. This isn't nearly as long of a stop as Austin, and the conductors usher us back on board. Leaving Temple behind, our engineer puts the pedal to the metal, opening the taps of our P42 DC and hitting that top speed of 80 miles per hour. As we cruise through the heart of Central Texas, why don't we take a quick look at some stats about our train? Taking us to Dallas today is Amtrak Texas Eagle number 22, and is powered by GE Genesis P42DC number 59. Each P42 DC is powered by GE's 7FDL16 V16 engine, producing 4,200 horsepower, hence the 42 in the name. P42 DCs are rated for a top speed of 110 miles per hour, but track speeds limit trains to a maximum of 80 miles per hour. Our consist today includes the aforementioned P42 DC and 5 Superliner coaches. Within those 5, 3 are regular coach cars, 1 is a dining and cafe car with 1 sleeper at the front of the consist. Well, we've got a second, why don't you hit that subscribe button? It's totally free and it really helps support the channel. I have a lot of awesome content coming in the next few months, so stick around if you want to see more. As mentioned in the previous video, there are a total of 5 bathrooms on board each car today, so let's head back downstairs to check out another one of those 5. Of the 5, this one is the most interesting, as it's really 2 rooms in one. To one side, there is a standard bathroom with all of the usual facilities. The sink works well with full soap and well-stocked paper products, again including cups. The other half of the bathroom is a changing room. There's a single cushioned seat and what appears to be a coat rack above it, with a tall mirror on the far wall. The additional space makes it easier to move around when changing clothes without the risk of accidentally sticking your foot in the toilet. Heading back out into the main hallway, we can take a look at some of the other features that Superliners have to offer. First things first is the bathroom hall, which contains all 5 bathrooms and a closet for additional storage. Posted on each wall is a sign pointing to seat locations, restrooms, and the stairwell. The seats are numbered 1 through 84, however seats were not assigned for today's trip. Along the wall opposite the stairwell is a spacious luggage rack for larger bags that were not checked or cannot fit in the racks upstairs. Also included is a water dispenser, however, ironically, there are no cups here where they really are needed. I guess it's a blessing in disguise, however, as the garbage can that would normally sit below is missing. Sitting at this top speed for a good 20 minutes covers plenty of ground, and we soon pull into our 5th station stop in McGregor, Texas. McGregor is a very rural town, and as a result, we only pick up 1 person before carrying on. Just as we leave McGregor, one of our conductors comes on the intercom with some unfortunate news.
Hey John, we did get some information from our dispatcher here. Just got a call. We'll be stopping here shortly. There is some work that needs to be done on the tracks here. So we'll be stopping. He did give us about an hour window that we'd be stopping, about 1:30 to 2:30. They're gonna close that main line and get some work done on that track.
Apparently there are some scheduled track works to be carried out on the line between here and Cleburne, our next station, which could see us stopped from anywhere from 30 minutes to over an hour. I had expected delays, seeing as it's Amtrak, however I did have a connection to make in Dallas to ensure that I was in Fort Worth to board the Heartland Flyer later that evening. If I wasn't able to make the 4 p.m. TRE commuter train back across to Fort Worth, I would be stranded in the DFW area with the Heartland Flyer leaving me behind. With this service disruption, our arrival time in Dallas would slowly be shifted backwards, and as such, I began to consider the possibility of leaving the train in Fort Worth, guaranteeing that I would make our connection up to Oklahoma City. I didn't want to get too far ahead of myself, so I decided to head to the bar car to grab some lunch. From the cafe car, passengers and coach have a few options for lunch and dinner, in addition to the usual snacks and drinks. Hot offerings include a personal cheese pizza, an Angus cheeseburger, grilled cheese sandwich, blue corn tamale, mac and cheese skillet, chicken street tacos, hot dogs, and a cup of noodles. Amtrak also offers 2 sandwiches on board, a buffalo chicken wrap, and a turkey sub. For lunch today, I figured I would try the pizza and a tamale with Coke to drink. Honestly, the food was pretty good, all things considered. Was it expensive? Yes, but for food on Amtrak, it's certainly better than I expected. The pizza was pretty standard, but the tamale was actually pretty tasty and added a nice variety to what would be a pretty standard meal. As we sat for lunch, we crossed over the Brazos River, highlighting our great state's beauty. Having finished up our meal, I headed back to our seat. I'd only been seated for a few minutes before our train ground to a halt. The track works were underway, and thus we had to wait for everything to clear up before continuing on, and with an estimated hold of 1 hour, it looked like we would be here for quite a while. To everyone's surprise, however, our train began to creep forward only a few minutes later. Apparently, the track works took significantly less time to complete than the dispatcher had anticipated, which meant that we were moving again in just over 5 minutes. Having made it past the blockage on the tracks, we pulled into our next stop of Cleburne, Texas. We picked up a few passengers and continued onward toward Dallas. The Fort Worth skyline crept into view, and we soon crossed over the Tower 55 interlocking before making our way into Fort Worth Central Station. Also waiting in Fort Worth was our sister train, Amtrak Texas Eagle Train 21, making the southbound run from Chicago to San Antonio and eventually on to Los Angeles. We have about a 30-minute layover here in Fort Worth, so I figured it was as good a time as ever to hop off. The hustle and bustle of Fort Worth soon envelops our train as passengers make their way on and off. In addition to serving Amtrak's Texas Eagle and Heartland Flyer, Fort Worth Central sees services from both TexRail to DFW and the Trinity Railway Express to Dallas. We've taken a ride on both services in the past, so if you've missed those videos, click the link in the top right or in the description below to check them out. We get back on and head back to our seat expecting an on-time departure, but the conductors come over the intercom to tell a different story. Because we were anticipating a longer hold south of Cleburne, the next crew had been given extra time to prepare their paperwork, which meant that they were not ready to go when we arrived in Fort Worth on time. This unfortunately meant that we would be leaving at an undetermined time once the new crew was ready to go. Now, I knew that if I wanted to continue on to Dallas, I would have to make the 4 p.m. train at the latest to ensure that I would be back in Fort Worth to make the Heartland Flyer. But as time slowly crept by with no signs of life from the next crew, I realized that there was little to no chance of making that train. Not wanting to miss our connection, I decided to cut our losses and get off here instead of Dallas. Our scheduled departure time came and went, thus proving that I made the right call to get off in Fort Worth, but it wasn't long thereafter that a new crew finally showed up and Train 22 continued on to Dallas. And with that, it's time to bring today's video to a close. Next week, we'll be back in Atlanta to fly in Comfort Plus back to Austin on one of Delta's Airbus A321s. If you're new around here, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It's totally free and it really helps support the channel. If you liked the video, drop it a like too. Likes help push my videos to more awesome viewers like you, and the more people who support the channel, the more incredible trips we can take in the future. But anyways, that's all I have for today. Thanks for riding with me, and I'll see you in the next one.